Hello and welcome. I am Michelle Fox, and if you are new to my channel, I'm so happy that you're here. I hope that you stay till the end because I've got an extra special surprise. It's totally free, and I know that you're going to love it. Those of you that have joined me before know how much fun I am. I have over 20 years experience in the beauty industry, and one of my favorite things to do is to talk to women, particularly those over 40, and just discuss the pros and cons and ups and downs and all of the questions that we have about things that are changing with our skincare and our beauty routine and our self-care. And today I want to talk about our eye shape, why it matters that we understand what our eye shape is. I'm going to help you figure out what your eye shape is. And at the very end, I'm going to give you something really primo. You're going to love it, that you can use on a daily basis, and it's going to answer so many questions for you. So stay tuned. Do you love that? I made that myself. All right, we're talking about eye shape today, and I don't know about you, but when I would read things in Glamour magazine and, those kinds of things, and it would talk about, well, what is your eye shape? I really didn't know. I didn't really, it seemed like one time I would think it was this, then I would think it was that, and I would ask my friend, well, what do you think my eye shape is? And we didn't know. So I want to talk today about how do you figure out what your eye shape is. We're going to look at some examples, and we're going to really nail this down until you figure out which one you are. And then we're going to talk about why does that matter in terms of applying eye colors. If you know me at all, you know that I really love to talk about light and dark and how highlight and contour can really create the look that you want, not only sculpting your face, but lifting your eyes. And when you really understand the shape of your eyes and what you want to draw attention to and what you want to take attention away from, it will make all the difference in how you apply and the confidence that you have in applying your eye makeup. All right, so you excited? So let's start talking about different eye shapes. I'm going to bring something on the screen here. And this is showing some celebrities to kind of help us understand the different shapes. But what I love about this particular article, and I will link it to my blog, I will also have this video on my blog, but it goes through and it really spells out what each one is. So for example, an almond-shaped eye is basically the ideal eye. It's oval with pointy ends, truly shaped like an almond, more rectangular than square. So I don't know if you have wondered if that is your eye shape or not, but if it is, consider yourself lucky, because that is basically the ideal eye shape. That is the shape that we are all trying to obtain with makeup artistry, okay? The round eye shape is more round than it is long. They have big eyes, big blue eyes. This is Zoe Deschanel, or however you say her name. A monolid means that when their eye is open, it looks like there's just the one lid, that the mobile part of your lid is really not visible. Therefore, there's not much of a crease to work with. And a hooded eye shape, we've got hooded. You can be born that way, or you can be what's called hooded with age. Most of us get more hooded as we age. So many of us, whether we ever had to deal with it in the past or not, this is our eye shape now. So a hooded means that there's an extra fold of skin on the eyelid that hides the crease. It's like a flap that's hanging over. And so it can create quite a bit of shadow, and it makes the eye area just look kind of small overall. You may have a visible crease in the inner area, but not so much in the outer area. Upturned eyes, again, similar to the almond-shaped eyes, is where the end is a little bit higher than the inside. The lower lash line is curved upward at the outer corner. That's ideal because you want that lift. It kind of has a cat eye look to it, au naturel. And downturned eyes, I don't really feel like this is the best example of it, but it's the opposite, where your lower lash line is almost a straight line. There's no upward curve, but sometimes it can even dip down where this end is actually lower than this inner area here. And I have had downturned eyes most of my life, but now they're downturned and hooded. Super fun. Deep set, again, I don't really feel like this is the best picture, but deep set, literally where it's up, like this is pushed in. It's more than hooded. See, like she doesn't really have a fleshy hood, but it's like the crease is pushed way in. Like if you can put your finger in there. So the eyes are at a much lower level than the brow bone. So I guess this profile over here, the eyelids slant inwards toward the eyes. Eyelids slant inwards toward the eyes. I've not heard it expressed like that before. I'm gonna have to process that for a second. But if your eyes are set deeper into the face, you've got deep set eyes. Sometimes they're called bedroom eyes. It's like they're a little bit sunken in, but it actually has a really cool look to it. You just have to know how to, again, use the light and the dark so that you don't have shadow. And then protruding eyes. Okay, so here's a better example. So her eyes, I would say, are round, but then they're also protruding in that the eyelids are almost vertical. Interesting. And the eyes are at nearly the same level as the brow bone. Okay, so here's your brow bone starting here. And here's where, you know, you would consider your eye starting. So I get that. But to me, I just feel like they look like they're bulging. It looks like the eyeball is kind of bulging out, maybe not from the front, but from the side. So it is the exact opposite of deep set eyes. The protruding eye type has them almost in level with the brow bone. Your eyelids don't go in, but they're almost vertical. Eyelids don't go in. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah. So like that lid is like laying on top of your eyeball, your eye socket, rather than, you know, poking in. So yeah, opposite of the deep. These two, close set and wide set. So the close set eyes means that the eyes are closer together than the width of one eye, is what I've always heard. And then wide set means that they're farther apart than the width of one eye. It doesn't have to be radical, okay? So, you know, like you wouldn't think, oh, wow, her eyes are too close together. But if you do your makeup the wrong way, it can really accentuate that and really look like that. So that's not ideal, okay? So keeping in mind that when you're applying your color, that you can't just use one color, of course, but for the most part, if you want to get dimension with your eyes, then you're using typically 3 colors-ish. So your lightest color is your highlight color. That is going to be areas that you want to accentuate, that you want to bring forward. Then you have a mid-tone color. It's also called a transition shade. This is really not the star of the show. These are the backstage workers, okay? This is something that is just giving you dimension, and it's helping you to transition from your lightest to your darkest. It's doing all kinds of work, but it's really not getting any attention. It should be very subtle. And then your accent or your contour shade, that's where you've got the dark drama, and that's where you can really start carving away and pushing back and kind of shifting where the focus is and where the where it lifts and drops and all of these kinds of things. Okay, so we're going to look at how do you do makeup on a basic, like a traditional perfect, you know, almond eye shape. And then bearing in mind that that's the goal, so to speak, we're going to look at the different other eye shapes and see what we have to adjust to get our eyes to look like that. Okay. And then at the end, stay with me because I've got a super cool surprise for you. Okay. So here we go. Here is the basic eye shape. So like I said, you have a highlight shade, and this typically we would put on your lid and just under your brow bone. And then how much of the light shade you put up here depends really on how much real estate, they say, you have up here. If you've got a huge area, you might not want to put a lot of light color there. If you don't have a huge area, you might want to put it all the way across. If your eyebrows are like really short, it all depends on that kind of thing. So like for me, this is showing that they're putting the highlight way in the outer corner. Just the way my eyebrows are shaped, I end up putting most of it toward the inner corner. So that's something that is going to be slightly different no matter what your eye shape is. This is going to have to do a little bit more with your brow shape, like where exactly that highlight color goes. But generally speaking, it's going to go just under your brows. You want to have amazing brows. And it's going to go on the mobile part of your lid. Then your mid-tone shade, like I said, is your transition, and that's going just in and slightly above the crease. And usually you use a long tapered brush and do sort of a windshield wiper back and forth motion. It's not a really precise application because you don't really see it a whole lot. It's just kind of in the background, literally. And when your eye is open, you should be able to see a little bit of that. But like I said, it's usually a very, not necessarily a flesh color, but a very modest color. Like if it's not in the browns or peach or rose, it's going to be something that is not bold. So maybe a gray, a taupe, something in that line. And then your accent shade, again, is your drama. This is where you have the outer corner. You always hear about the C or the V or the pizza or the piece of pie. I've heard so many things, but you want to have this outer corner defined to give your eye some lift. So even though these are perfectly shaped eyes, it's just a nice thing to emphasize this outer area here. And you'll notice that her almond-shaped eye right here, like the outer corner of her actual mobile lid is about here. And so if you just go straight out, that's about where the outer edge of that V or C or whatever is, okay? You'll notice that some of us have this part is down low and some of us have this part up high. And so that's going to dictate how we make this little angle right here, okay? But notice hers is pretty much straight across. It's slightly up, but not radically so, because she has the perfect eye. Okay, now we're going to look at a hooded eye. So a hooded eye starts out similar. You've got your light color underneath your brow, and then it's got just a tiny bit. I know this white is like impossible to see, but this one shows it where there's just a little bit in the inner area of the mobile lid. I usually cover the whole lid, but you don't have to, because the next step is you're going to use a whole lot of that mid-tone. Why? Because you're pushing back that fleshy hood, and not much of your mobile lid is going to be visible anyway. So for most people, bringing that mid-tone down on their mobile lid works. For me, I love to talk about myself. My eyes are radically different shapes. So the amount of highlight, this light color that I put on, is different for each eye. If you don't have that issue, then this would be a great chart for you, where you use quite a bit of this mid-tone. Now, that doesn't mean it's dark. It just means that you're using it in a bigger area than you did for your basic eye. And again, here comes your outer crease. You can see here, because of this fleshy hood, and here is the outer part of her eye, but look where the corner, this little V corner is. It's way the heck up here. And the reason for that is that we are really trying to push back this hood. So we're bringing that darker color much higher and farther in than we did with the standard or the almond-shaped eye. How much you blend this is going to make a big difference. So it would not literally be this obvious where this is the dark and this is the medium. You would blend these edges out to make it look, look really good. But the point here is that because of this fleshy hood, you need dark color to push it back, okay? Deep set eyes, like I said, they are like pushed way in. So there's not a lot of light in there because there's shadow because it's literally like a cave. So we're not bringing any of the midtone down very low at all. As a matter of fact, for the highlight, we've got that coming up even a little bit higher than the crease just to try to brighten that up, try to light up that cave. So we've got the highlight on the mobile lid and a little bit higher. And maybe this side is a good way to see it. You can see right in here, we've got a little extra over here. Then we're using our midtone and we're taking that midtone up pretty high. So we're not focusing on any of the highlight under the brow. We're really focusing on a ton of it on your mobile lid and up a little bit into the crease on the inner side using your transition shade. And then keeping this deepest outer corner in a smaller area. So keep in mind that when your eyes are deep set, there's usually not a whole lot of visible area to work with because there's a lot of that flesh is pushed back where we can't see it. If her eyes were closed, you would see more of this makeup. But because when our eyes are open, we need to be aware of what it looks like when our eyes are open. So this little corner out here is going to be very controlled. It's going to be just a smaller area. And look at the shape of her eyes. So this is like the inner corner, outer corner. And again, for her, we didn't have to lift where that outer V was. It's pretty much right where the outer corner of her eye is because her issue is not droopy. Her issue is that it's deep. So when your eyes are deep, you want to lighten up that cave. You want to get some light on your lids and a little bit up into your crease. Your close set eye, keep in mind that your eyes are closer together than one eye. So even though you might think, well, then you don't want attention here, actually you do want attention here because when you highlight something, it makes it bolder, bigger, it draws attention to, but it also brings it forward. So by having a lot of the highlight, a lot of the light color in this tiny area, it's like we're expanding it. So because it's close set, we're focusing the highlight on the lid and also in this inner area, sort of dragging it toward the nose to really brighten this inner area, which in turn makes that kind of jump out at you visually, which is going to help balance this out. There is a little bit of highlight under the tail of the brow, and midtone is pretty much the same as for basic eye, and so is your accent. Again, there's not really an issue with droopiness, so that outer corner is about the same placement. So the focus here for your close set eye is to have your lightest, brightest highlight color kind of drag that in toward your nose over in this area here. Okay. And then opposite of that, your wide set eyes, you don't want to draw attention to how wide this is. Okay. So we're not having anything light right in the middle. So you'll notice that we've got some of the light color on the lid and under the brow, but we're going to use our transition shade to kind of close that off. We're putting some of the transition shade in by the nose to make this area here pushed back, smaller, less obvious, less, attention drawing. And so this maneuver is going to help those wide set eyes, the eyes that are too wide apart, to not look so drastically wide apart because this darker color is taking our attention away from this area. All right. And this looks like, to give this some lift, we've got the corner, this outer corner is quite a bit higher than where the where the edge of her eye is. So wide set eyes oftentimes have like a really broad face, a broader eye area, broad forehead, etc. And so to kind of give that some lift and maybe even to slim it out, you are not bringing this out very far, and you are bringing it up. So it's up and in, but it's not out very far. We're trying to minimize the width of all of this. So we are taking away your attention from the problem area here by using your mid-tone instead of having highlight right there. And we're minimizing how wide it is by not bringing that really dark color out very far. You can see that the mid-tone is farther out than the accent. So that's quite different. And then finally, here's your prominent eye. I would say that this would also work for round eyes. I don't think I have a flyer for that, but I think that that's kind of the same concept. But here you are applying the highlight shade to the brow bone only, because we've already got a lot going on here. We've already got people that are already there. The attention is already on the eye, okay? Ball itself. So the highlight is just going under the brow. And then we're going to use, just like with the droopy eye, we're using a lot of that mid-tone to just kind of press everything back to help to start to minimize, to take things under control. And to give this more of an almond shape, we're using our darkest color, not just in the crease, but we are taking it all the way across the lid so that we are basically, instead of having it be that round shape, we're saying, nope, we want you to look at this almond shape that we just created with this accent color. So we're taking charge with the darkest color, taking that round look out by making it more of an almond shape just by using the darkest color on the lid and into the crease all together. Okay? Can you see how that would make that really round protruding eye start to look a little more almond? And again, we have very little highlight going on because this whole area here is typically coming out toward you like 3D. So we are trying to push that back with the deeper colors, push it back visually. All right. So I know that was like boom, 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 and only one of those applied to you. But hopefully, as we keep reviewing the concept, it's really getting into your head like, okay, so the lightest color, typically we like to highlight our brow, because if you have your brows done really well, that's something that is flattering. And typically, most of us are going to highlight the lid. How much is going to depend on the shape. The mid-tone is in the middle area. It's used as a transition. And then the accent is really the finishing touch, where that's going to determine, do we need a little lift? Do we need to push it back? Do we need to bring it forward? Do we need to make it wider? Do we need to make it closer? So all of those things can be addressed through color. Okay, so who's excited to find out what your surprise is? Here we come. There is a super cool website. I know a makeup artist named Robert Jones, and I have several of his books, and I will put those in the links in my description as well, links for his books. I have gone to his academy before, and on one of his websites, he has an awesome tool where you can look at different eyes, pairs of eyes. They're not celebrities, they're everyday people, which makes it easier. And you're just looking at them, and when you see the eyes that you think like that's what my eyes look like, you know, you click on that. I'll show you, and that helps you to solidify your eye shape. So we've got an eye shape finder. He gives you several different eye patterns to choose from. And because you're looking at so many and you're choosing so many, it's kind of foolproof. Because if I just had to pick one, like if I was looking at, 8 or 10, I said, oh, I think those are my eyes. It's still kind of like maybe I made a mistake. But when you're looking at, I don't know, 30, and you pick, you know, the same one over and over, then it's like, okay, that is definitely your shape. So it's a really neat tool. And after you do that, you get your very own diagram like I just showed you. So for example, you click, 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 click. It says your eyes are prominent. Then you give Robert your email and first name. He doesn't spam you. He's really awesome. And then he will send that to your email address, your very own diagram that you can save and print off and have forever, that you can have that to reference back to. Okay. So that's really cool. And, you know, Robert, I love you. Thanks so much for creating that. I know that you're going to love it. So I will have all of that information in the description on YouTube and also in my blog. I hope you got something out of that. I know that I always say knowledge is power, that when I understand something, then I can, I feel like I can fix it. I can deal with it. I know how to address it. And the more that I've understood, my eyes are downturned, droopy, and now they are totally different, like sizes. So I got a whole lot going on. But the good news is it makes me understand how to help others. So I would have to say I'm somewhat of an expert when it comes to solving issues that have to do with weird stuff going on with your eyes. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to like this video, share it with a friend, comment, give me a question, give me a comment, give me a suggestion. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. And when you take the quiz, let me know what your eye shape is and if you are in agreement with what the quiz said. And then make sure that you subscribe to my channel, Michelle Fox Beauty, and check out my blog as well, because I always have lots of free resources and super fun stuff there. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will see you next week.